What is up, Need for Speed Racers? It is I, your wheelman, Alex Cornnut, and we're here with the Porsche RSR for A+ class. It's a refresh. I've done a video on this car. We've made a few tweaks, a few changes. We now understand how a wide body kit can improve some things, so I've also done that to the car. I'm going to walk you through all of these new changes and details. If you already have this car built and you've already seen the original video, you probably won't get a whole lot extra out of this one, but there's a slew of people that are new to the channel that have no idea how great this car is. It's Porsche week. We've already done 4 other Porsche builds. Let's cap it off with the best one of the bunch, in my opinion. I love this car. It's my personal favorite. It's the reason we do some of the other builds, so you can unlock this car. With no further ado, the 1973 Porsche RSR. It says 2.8, but actually we do a motor swap. So let's go over. You are going to be running the basic 2.2 liter inline 4. You may hear us refer to this on stream as the diesel build. I built 2 of these cars. One was the purple thumbnail. This one's the red one. This has got a diesel motor in it. The other one had the inline 6 right there. The diesel motor is a torque monster. It makes this car get out of the corners just like the champion. And it grips really pretty well for an 80% grip build, which is the most we can do on this chassis. And overall, it's one of my favorite cars personally to drive. And I know some of my other guys are kind of on the same boat. They love this car as well. So at the end of the day, if you don't have this one unlocked and you don't have it built yet, start working towards this. You need to have the RSR. It's a slayer in B class. It's really good in A+ class. We're working on some other builds for some other classes, but they're not done yet. So we'll see how it goes when we get those finished for you. For the parts, I've got a new naming scheme for the parts. People are on mobile. I've talked to a few folks that say they're having trouble differentiating the colors of the parts. And I know I say super or elite, but I'm going to say bronze for sport, and I will also say sport too. We're going to go silver for pro. We're going to go gold with super, and then platinum for elite parts. Hopefully that'll kind of make it a little easier for you guys, because some of you guys are building this car and I know you can't hold the phone and build the car at the same time, so you set the phone down and be listening, and maybe this will be able to make that a little easier for you guys. And that's really what we want to do here on the channel. And if it's basic, we'll call that iron, because I can't think of a better name for it at this time. So we'll dig right in here. For the induction, we are running gold super induction. We are running Pro Silver ECU. We are running Gold Super fuel system. We are running Silver Pro exhaust. We are running Platinum Elite Roots supercharger. You are going to be running Bronze Sport NOS. You will be running the Platinum Elite suspension, which is the road suspension. You will be running super brakes, which is gold. You will be running platinum elite grip tires. You're going to be running iron clutch, basic. You'll be running the 7-speed transmission, which is gold super. You will be running the platinum elite differential. Pay attention to these parts, you guys. It's very, very important that you run the same chassis and drivetrain setup that I have here. Otherwise, the car's not going to handle correctly, so make sure you do that. For my auxiliary, I'm running nitrous grip and nitrous near miss. If you find yourself 2nd, 3rd, 4th place trying to catch up to the pack because you're maybe crashing a little more or having trouble with your lines and just struggling to keep up, I'd recommend, instead of nitrous near miss, you run nitrous draft. It's going to allow you to tuck in behind the guys in front of you, build up your boost bar a lot quicker, and hopefully be able to slingshot past them in the last couple of corners and get a little better finishing position based on your nitrous. So give that a try. Check that out. For the handling portion, you're going to run your slider all the way up to 80% grip, which is the most grip we can put in this car. All the way to the left, guys. And then steering sensitivity, we are going to be running 2 clicks off the center. That's personal preference for me. You can go higher, you can go lower. It's up to you. This slider goes anywhere you want it to go. Higher means the wheels turn faster when you hit the thumbstick, so it's more twitchy, so to speak. It turns in faster, but it'll also snap oversteer if you try to get out of a drift and it'll fishtail and stuff. So just play with this slider. If you find a car is too hard to control, turn the slider to the low end. If you find that maybe it's a little sluggish and doesn't turn fast enough, bump it up a couple clicks. Just try that. Find a good spot for you. Downforce, where I'm running the car all the way high. You can run it pretty much anywhere in this area, anywhere to the right of center, and then 1 click high. Everywhere else takes it out of the class, but this area is where you can play. I think it needs to be high. The car's a little rowdy, especially with this much torque that we've got in it. High downforce is what I would recommend, but once again, it's kind of personal preference. You can play with that in a few different spots. Traction control, I run that off, and drift entry, I also have that turned off. All of that being said, that is going to give you the parts and handling engine performance of this build. I'm going to delve into the body kit side of things here momentarily. Your top speed is 167. The difference between this build and the last one is we've added more horsepower. We now have 494. We've added a little more torque. We're at 723. You can ignore the quarter mile. You can ignore the 0 to 60. Quarter mile is only good from a standing start. Anytime you do a standing start, you're going to be rolling with a super boost because you just launched off the start. So quarter mile, throw that number out. 3.6, that doesn't matter because that's a 0 to 60 time. This car does 0 to 60 in like 1 second when you launch with a perfect start. If you're running a manual transmission, you launch this car in 5th gear and it's like 0 to 100 in like 1 second. So just get rid of get away from those stats, you guys. When you are building, if you are building a car, go all in on horsepower and torque. Get those numbers as high as they can be, and then just make sure that your top speed is enough for the class that you're in. If you have a car that says it does 193 and you're in A class, I can guarantee you right now that car is never going to get to 193 in any race setting. You might be able to go out on the highway and just sit there and do a highway pull and just hold the trigger for 3 minutes and wait for your car to get up to speed. But realistically, B class, 130, 140 is a good B class speed. A class, about 160. A little faster than 160 is going to win you some of the top speed runs. A little less than 160 is not bad. 155 is kind of the number I would shoot for if you're building an A class car. 155, 160, that's kind of where you want to play. Like if somebody brought me an A class build and only did 140, I really wouldn't be very interested in that car just because I know it would get run away from by a couple other cars in the class. And so you're going to take some L's with that one. For A plus class, realistically, you want to shoot for about 170. Above a 170 and you're going to win some of the top speed tracks. Below 170 and now the car is going to need to really have some performance in all other facets. Otherwise, you're just going to lose with the car. A plus class, this does 167. With the red line tech, you guys were doing about 170. It's slotting right in there. It's a good car. This is a good build. For S class, 180 is like the hard minimum that I personally want to play with. There's some cars that do a little less than that, but with red line tech, they get up to 180. But like that's really the deal. A lot of the really high horsepower builds that are just slaying some of the short tracks and getting really good times on Corner King have like 1,000 horsepower, 1,000 foot-pounds of torque, 180 top speed. That's why the Skyline GTR is so good, you guys. It has got ridiculous acceleration and a really good top speed. 208, that's fantastic. It's 28, 30 mile an hour faster than most of the other cars in the S class. And so you just get up to speed as fast or faster than them because that car is a monster, and then just walks away from them because you're going so much faster. So if I was ranking my S tier cars, I would say that like the Skyline GTR, it's king dingling. It's the best one. Close second's going to be the McLaren F1 because it handles really good. Doesn't accelerate quite as hard, but it's got that top speed. So you get up to top speed and you start walking on everybody else that's capped at 180. So just bear that in mind, you guys. Speed's important, but it is not like the stat you want to shoot for. You want to shoot for really high horsepower, really good torque, and then work the top speed into whatever class you're dealing with. Going forward with that, like I say, 167 is top speed. You can do about 170 with the red line tech. But this car turns really, really, really good, and it gets grip turns very easily. So you grip, don't slide it all in the corner. You're going to get yellow boost from it. You can get 2-3 bars a lot, and it's really rewarding to drive because then you're accelerating really hard out of the corners. And that's, you'll see in the gameplay footage after this. This car's good, guys. For the style portion of the build, and thank you all for tuning in at this point. I try to put nuggets of information and tips in with my videos. I don't want to do just one video and here's everything you need to know, because we're giving the people that want to spend time and really learn all the pieces immediately. For you guys, stick through the whole video, you're watching it, you're trying to pay attention to what I'm saying. You're going to get a lot more out of this than the people that are just watching the build. There's a lot of people that just want the build, they're going to go figure it out. But for you guys, stick around, kind of listen to what I have to say. I really try to put pieces of info through this so it's value all the way throughout. So thank you. Appreciate you guys. For the body portion of this, we are running wide hips and we're running a big top on the front, as wide as we can get, because wide body kits matter, you guys. So we are option number 4 of 5. It is the widest body kit available for this car. You'll see the front, the wheels, how far away they are from the middle. That's the widest one. So that's why I run option 4 of 5. On the back, we are running option 3 of 5. It's the RWB kit. RWB is the widest one. I think this RWB kit is very similar, but I didn't like the way the fender flares looked, so I ran this one. You could probably get away with either. They're really, really, really similar. So, all that being said, for the wheels, or the rims, is what the game calls it, 93 out of 128. It's the Weld Racing WeldStar RTs. These are the widest rims in the game. When you're running a wide body kit, the body kit usually determines how wide the tires are going to be, or the wheels. When you are not running a wide body kit, you want to run the widest rims possible. There's another set of welds in here that if you run those on the front, it makes like really skinny, like drag racing tires. We're working on a video now that's going to show you guys the difference between like contact patch, wide body kits, why they're more important than skinny, and what it does to the car. Some cars you don't want to do wide body. They're already super planted. You don't need them to be wide to be more planted. You want them to be skinny and nimble. But in this car, for example, it's kind of rowdy. We want to have a little more contact patch. We want to widen up that gap a little bit on the wheels and allow it to be a little more stable through the corners. So run the WeldStars. You can do any rim size in here you want. This is all cosmetic on the rim size. I think 18s look good. Any size you want, guys. For tires, I run the Quuuub Extra V710s. There's some other guys that like the Toyos. We're all in agreement that tires do matter, but at that point we're kind of splitting hairs. Like, we're talking about maybe 1% difference between the tires, so it's like, just do whatever you think is best. I like the Quuuubs. They're a nice racing slick. I think it's pretty cool. Statistically, in the stats, the widest tire is these Falcon Wild Peaks, but they're like a knobby chunky boy. I don't really care for those too much. So even though they're a little wider than the Quuuubs, I'd rather have the Quuuubs because they look better. I'm not gonna like 0.5% because they're a little wider. Wasn't good enough for me. I'll take the aesthetics in this case. We are running a diffuser, but the diffuser doesn't really matter in this case because I just reverted everything. So I'll just show you as we go anyway. That was an accident. Gonna have to do the whole car. Cool. The diffuser, you'll see it's back there. It does add a little bit of distance to the car there. It's kind of out just past the back bumper, just a skosh. But I had a different rear bumper on this car. It was that one. So when you have the RWB kit on it, that diffuser really doesn't add anything. It's actually tucked under the bumper. So the bumper adds the most length to the car you can. But honestly, the biggest part that adds the most length is the spoiler, and it's this one. This RWB spoiler is nuts. It's a wing on top of wing on top of wang. Like, it's just, hey bro, we heard you like wings, so we put a wing in your wing on top of your wing. You see what I'm saying? It's nuts. Reminds me of that car from Cars. Anyway, the length of that, you'll see the wing kind of slants back and it's off the back of the car. It adds about another 6 inches to the overall length. So I think that this is going to give you the longest hip box. We did the wide hips on the wide body, so that's a wider hip box. Makes the car a little more planted, a little more stable. That's what I think, and that's what me and the guys drive, and we all agree, and we like it a lot. So you guys do you. Other than that, you can run a front splitter. So the splitter is important. There's a couple different options. It's kind of between that one and that one. That one's a little more fleshed out, so I like that one. But the bumper is going to bring that out even further. So with this bumper, let me show you. That's the stock one. you see how that front bumper took us from where that one's at, and then it's out and down further. That's adding another 3-4 inches to the car. So with the spoiler and that front splitter, we're adding length to the car. The wide hips, making it wider. We're just making the car wider, more planted. I will say that for the stance, ride height is important. If you're too low, the car will clip. It'll get hung up on stuff. There's actually one specific stunt jump that in the Volkswagen, if the car's too low, it'll actually like get hung up and just come to a full stop. You can't even go off the stunt jump because of how low the car is. I haven't experienced it on all the cars, but the Volkswagen, specifically the Bug, I have experienced it with that. We did learn that camber does nothing notably. I thought the camber mattered because we found some stats in the settings, like there is a max camber and a good camber. But we started messing with the settings a lot. And one thing that we've been doing, we've been working on like a mod, so to speak, to where we can take the values and really just expand on them. And so we took one car, it was a Golf, and we brought the wheels all the way in as skinny as possible to where they were actually touching themselves under the car. So it looked like it only had a pair of wheels instead of 4. They were like inside of each other. And the car would tip on those wheels. And so we know that there's a center of mass, a center of gravity on the body of the car, and it rotates around that, and then what connects the body to the road is the tires. So when you bring them in, the body would tilt on the tires. So because of that, we know that there is a mass and that it reacts inside of the game. Lowering that center of mass on lower suspension is going to change the way the car handles. All of that being said, too low, it'll clip. Too high, you're getting that mass up higher than it needs to be. So I go 2 clicks to the left. I think that's about right for this car. Camber, we played with camber. One of my guys tweaked the values, like, you do the camber and they start to tilt in like this. He just kept changing the values in one of our editors until it was like flat. The car looked like it was a Back to the Future flying car. So the car still handled pretty good. So we go all the way to the extremes. The car still drove. I don't know that camber really affects as much. When we put the tires in to where they were touching each other and it was like one set of tires in the middle of the car drove like crap. Like it was just like undrivable. And it had a lot to do with, I think, the body roll and stuff, what was happening. We did the same thing with the tires, but we went the opposite direction. We brought them way, way outside the body. So like the body of the car is here and the tires are like out here. Now the tires do not have hip boxes. The physical body of the car does. So when we change the wide hips, we're increasing the hip box, we're moving the tires out. But the tires themselves don't have their own collision. So when we moved them outside of the car, you could clip through cars, you could put them in the barrier, and the tires clipping through that didn't slow down the car or affect it. But the car didn't turn very well either. It was very, like, the radius of those turns was just really just very uncontrollable, very insane. And so I know that changing the width of the tires with body kits does affect how it's going to handle. And I'm working on a video for you guys to try to really show you that. But if we go from a regular body to a wide body and I say, hey, here's 2 cars going through the corner, same driver, same corner, as close as it can be. Do you see the difference? It's really hard to tell. You know when you're driving it because you can feel the difference, especially somebody that knows their car really well and then they make the changes. But like as a new player or a middle of the road player, or maybe somebody that's more, not super try hard or doesn't know their car very well, you probably aren't going to feel it the same way. I've had people that literally will have never built the car, go build the car and be like, you're full of it, Alex. None of this stuff makes any sense. It's like, if you don't know how the car handles in the first place, how are you going to notice the change? The internet's a fun place, you guys. So I digress. Do the body kit your way. I think making it longer and wider is a good thing. Put on the wide rims. Cool. I will show you, since we're here, look at the front of the car. See how skinny those tires are? If I go out to this screen, you still really can't see it. Now watch when I put on those welds. Number 93, going to the bottom of the list. Now let's put on my tires that I like. The Kumos, number 25. You see how much wider they are? It's kind of hard to see because it's black under. Let me go back to the main screen. Maybe that'll help you. Like, they really are chunky. I mean, they're like a lot wider. I don't make this shit up, you guys. I just bring it to you live. I've got gameplay clips after this, me using this car with the proper setup. Can't believe I knocked that stuff off of there. Watch for the grip turns. Watch for some of the lines I choose. I try to, for automatic players, you are listening for and watching for the lines, how I use grip boost, how the car handles. For you manual players, you are in to learn how to launch the car in 5th gear, gear selection for the corners, watch me shift gears. And I'm not the best player out there, you guys. I'm decent, and I want to help you guys learn and do better. I'm thankful for you. I'm Alex Cornnut, your wheelman. Stay tuned for the clips. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye. This race is a lot of fun. This is one of my favorite tracks in this car. Watch for the 5th gear launch. I'm shifting up actually right now as we speak. I usually hit the button 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. That should be 5th gear, but it puts me into 4th. So I shift another time, 5th. Boom. Rocket off the start. And just leave everybody. David is also driving the RSR, but he's running automatic, so we walk away from him a little bit, but not super much. But these RSRs are just incredible. He's banking a yellow boost and uses it right there to try to get through the corner, but it was too sharp, so he wasn't able to make it. You want to try to time your yellow boost to know that you're going to get out of the corner with it. So sometimes wait till closer to the exit before you hit it, and maybe not on entry. You want to use that yellow for acceleration and turning. If you use it on the entry to a corner, you'll turn really good for a second, but then when it wears off, you're going to go right into the wall. When you are under yellow boost, like after you activate it until it is done boosting the car, you have heightened handling. So the car is going to turn better while yellow boosting than it does regularly. So you can use it to make even sharper corners. So keep an eye on me. I really try to keep it on the tarmac to the best of my abilities and just try to do smooth corners so that way I get as much of the yellow as possible. So here, we'll turn in, keep it smooth, a little wide but not too bad. Use that 3 boost. I waited until I shift and got around that car before I activated that one. Lots of brakes, real smooth corner, yellow boost again. I wasn't going to be able to make it till this corner with it, so I just used it to accelerate. But the idea that you guys want to do here is just be smooth, be in control of your car. Don't be bouncing off the walls. If you touch the wall, it's going to not activate the yellow grip turn. And if you drift, it's not going to activate the grip turn. So you want to be in as much control of your car as possible. And just look how we're doing things here. Now, that's the first time this whole race I've used handbrake. Was on that 90-degree corner. But overall, if you're smooth with it, it works really good. This car is incredible to drive. All right, we are midway through the race on this clip. I'm trying to show more of the actual action. The first part of this race was pretty boring. Just a flawless run. I want you to see the chain grip turns I do here. So we start turning in. I hold that line nice and smooth. As soon as I hit that, I straighten out. Gives us a grip turn. Turn sharp, boom, hit the drift, turn the other way. There's another one. Turn, and then I straighten up to give me another one. And then I use that one and hold that turn, hold that line, straighten out, boom. What I'm doing is I'm turning, straightening out, getting the grip turn, turning, straightening out, getting the grip turn, and chaining those together so that way I get multiple yellow boosts in one section. This race is really cool. Watch for the 5th gear launch. I'm shifting up now. I get into about 4th gear, and then I shift into 5th. Sometimes I shift into 5th first, and then I'm good. Sometimes I'll go all the way to 6th and then come down one. It's hard to say what gear you're in when you can't see, but just get close, launch 5th, great, accelerate. Watch for consistent, constant cornering. I might turn just a little bit for a very long corner, and then that gives you a longer grip turn. And so the idea is when you start to turn in, you want to hold that line as long as possible to get the most yellow boost from it. 2 and 3 boosts is what I'm always trying to shoot for. Up here, we're going to go through a gas station. When you have nitrous and you're using the blue boost, If it is empty, it will totally refill going this way. So right there, it would have refilled my NOS, and then you can just use your bottle right here. So in the future, you guys, if you're using all your nitrous, take that line, get yourself a little bit extra. You'll see I got a 3 boost there. It's because I'm doing consistent, shallow turns. Not always will I turn as sharp as I need to because I want to kind of make a wider line to try to maximize that grip turn. Same thing here, just taking a nice smooth corner, getting that 1 boost there. I got a little loose, but that's okay. It gave me, that drift carried my yellow bar a little higher. And I'm just using everything I can to accelerate, getting up to top speed. Anything above 165 is pretty much top speed in this car, so we just hang out. So you'll see back there, I kind of started my turn a little early. I'm just doing everything I can to get at least 1 bar of grip boost. I use the grip boost after that slide to put me back into traction and go really fast forwards. Same deal here. I'm going to do a nice shallow turn. We should be able to get a grip bonus, but that taxi cab kind of got in my way, so I couldn't get a really long one. I hate this track because unless that drawbridge is up, it resets you down here, which is really, really annoying because we can't set any good times ever because that stupid drawbridge is so inconsistent. But that's what I wanted to show you guys, just consistent, shallow turns to maximize the turn length to get the most grip bonus possible. Thank you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.